one, I'd like to open the August 8th, 2025 City of Geneva IDA regular monthly meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. The mission statement, I can read it this time.
All right.
The Geneva IDA was created to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in acquiring, constructing, maintaining equipment, and furnishing certain types of projects and facilities to advance the job opportunities, health, general prosperity, economic welfare, and recreational opportunities of the citizens of the city of Geneva. So as we consider some of the stuff, particularly some of the topics that have been on our agenda for a few months here, we should always kind of keep that in mind. That's what we're supposed to do, is advance those things. All right, you have the agenda. Does anyone have the agenda before them? Very good. There's just a few things on it. Any changes to the agenda? Everyone's good. All right. No motion to approve because there's no changes. The July minutes. Also, anything from that? We did have our meeting last week, but that's not earlier this week. I mean, that's really was just a working session. So I don't know if there's anything on the July minutes.
I don't know if I got them. I could have missed them.
Yeah, I couldn't find them myself.
I'll connect with Amy about the agenda packet and getting it out. We can, if you want to just.
Why don't we table that so we can just send it out again? All right. The same thing with the financial report. We don't have the printed documents. You want to table that, or okay? Adam, why don't you
Just go through.
walk through it, and then we'll take your word for it.
There's a little over 24,000 in the bank account. The only activity over the last month was a $500 deposit from Lakeview for the pilot application.
Okay.
So that was the only activity there. And I can circulate those reports later to the board separately. So you have them.
Want to table the improvement on that? Approval.
Let's see.
Any objections to improvement? Really was not much activity, Catherine, so, all right. All right, I'd like a motion to approve the verbal of the financial report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Yes. Next one is the budget, Adam, the 2025 budget.
Yep, so put together the 2025-26 budget. If you remember, the fiscal year runs October 1st through September 30th. So that's the end of our year is coming up here quickly. This is the budget that was sent out. Did you not receive that either then? Probably.
It was in the attachments.
I think
Yeah, I
found it.
Okay.
All right.
The financials were too.
Maybe that was earlier even.
Okay, so what I did for the GEDC portion, because that we are kind of up in the air on that, and we'll discuss that management agreement later. I left that pretty much the same from the prior year. The park, no activity. And then for the IDA, very similar to prior years. There's not a whole lot that's planned or budgeted for, because unless there is a project coming in like we're seeing now, there's really not a whole lot of activity or things to be doing. And those things we try to get them to offset the expense and the revenue when those projects happen. So very, very similar budget to the prior year. I didn't make many changes at all, just because there are so many unknowns at this point that I didn't want to, differentiate too much from what we've been doing. And if this is not approved at this meeting, we can do it at the next one. I just have to upload it to the Paris website once we do that.
It's approved.
But we have another 30 days. So.
Thanks. And any discussion? And are we comfortable taking a look at this, or you want to wait for other? We're missing two people today, but
It should also be noted that if approved, you can make adjustments at any time. Just bringing them up at the meeting and we can do that. So
And again, this budget
However-
doesn't necessarily assume, any pilots coming in.
it assumes nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what we normally do. We
Yep.
don't assume that.
Exactly.
Even though we have things on our plate, doesn't mean it's gonna happen. Exactly.
Yep.
And are we also with the Paris?
We received our letter the other day from the audit and the annual financial report and all that. We're all squared away.
All right, that's also a
Yeah,
good thing to do.
It's
before
very
the
good
year.
news. Yeah.
All right, any discussion on this budget? Any questions about it?
One very quick question. I looked over it pretty quick. So I know we give to bid, and I know that that's unfortunately Catherine is no longer gonna be with us on the city side. Does that change anything with that budget allocation, or do we still contribute to bid?
So that would be, you mean with her
Yeah, I don't.
departure?
The bid?
The bid, or does it always go to bid, even if, say, there's a short term?
Yeah, it would, the agreement would still be in place.
Okay.
But that would be something that can be discussed with the new
Okay.
bid director when that time comes. And certainly that's up to the board to decide if that's something you want to continue or not.
That was my only real,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay,
The GDC budget proposed here, did you talk to Webster? Is there any major projects or anything that they foresee? Roof issue, like they're gonna be up?
Yeah, so there wasn't anything above and beyond that they gave me. And I was, very careful to not really get into too deep with it based on not knowing kind of our future with
Sure.
the management contract. It's something, we'll discuss later, but even if it's monthly or what's even gonna happen with the GEDC. So certainly a lot to think about there, but yeah, above and beyond kind of the norm, there wasn't anything.
okay, and we'll talk about that later in the thing. We'll go into a motion to approve this, so move it on. I'd like a motion to approve the 2025-26 IDA budget. I'll move. Thank you, Lowell.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, RJ. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so passed. Thank you.
Okay. Yep, I'll upload that to Paris later today.
Okay, that's good. I see that Miles is not on the call, no. So we don't really have a discussion with what's going on at the thing. Did we ever set up the tour? I think there was a monkey thing for that, but I just,
An email saying it wasn't scheduled yet.
it hasn't been scheduled. Yeah, that's what I saw. I saw that email and I was, so that would be useful for us to have that. I mean, we got a lot on our plate lately and it's kind of extra meetings and extra things to consider. So unfortunately, GDC has kind of been pushed to the back burner. Doesn't mean that we don't have some issues there to resolve. Of course, we're not heating the space right now and there seems to be leaks in the roof seem to be under control. But we do need to talk about where the city is as far as, satisfying Lowell's command that we get more money from them. And then also, taking down that building. Those are the two probably action items that we can do. A whole bunch of the other stuff we really can't do much about. But those are the things. So if you want to report back to city council, I guess that we're still pushing for some in-depth discussion about that.
I can talk to the comptroller about that as well.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, who's that?
You want to talk to?
Battle myself on that.
They emailed me about our record.
Want to change your hat, put a new hat on? All right, so then that brings us to the GDC management agreement, which is up year end, right? Is it with our school year? Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
It's coming up in the next
It
month
is,
or so.
yes.
I think the last meeting, we had a brief discussion about just going to month until we kind of know what's going on. So that's something that you could do, Adam, is just get hold of Miles and just say, we're gonna, with probably keeping the 90-day, I think there's a 90-day notice and
Okay.
I haven't you know, that if anything changes, we have to give notice, but for the time being, we'll just keep it status quo, just so there's some agreement in place. And we should probably have that prepared, say in the next month or so.
Okay, yeah, I'll follow up.
With that, I don't think there's really anything to vote on.
Yeah, I think, okay, we really, need to take care of the big building somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
Really,
So I think once we kind of get some of the stuff that's before us off our plate, I think we probably wanna, you know, refocus on that and what our plan of action is.
Certainly something to not lose sight on, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And that could be, I think one of the things that we want to do for the annual meeting is kind of set some goals for the year. And, you know, what are we planning? I think that could be on the top of the list,
Mhm.
you know, should be on the top of the list.
do we want to talk about a tour date now?
Yeah,
Here, or,
I think, well, Amy did send out that Survey Monkey, right? And did not get
She must not have gotten any dates that worked well for a majority of the group. That's my assumption, but I haven't talked to her about it.
would you mind following up on that for us? We'll just see and then
yeah, maybe
see
we
what
can just get, yeah,
yeah,
we can focus on that individually when we get that Survey Monkey again,
yeah, okay.
maybe repeat it.
And you guys like the Survey Monkey that works for this group? Okay.
Okay. Onto the agenda items, Lakeview Lofts pilot application. Obviously, that's still in a state of flux or waiting for the seeker to be looked at by the planning board. I don't believe it's gonna happen until, the date is like the 20th or something like that. And there's no guarantee that will be, and obviously those meetings are attended by quite a few people, so it's kind of hard to get to the point where we're considering the seeker, but my understanding is that should happen this next meeting. So technically we can't, we can discuss it, but we can't actually vote on the application. Is there any questions or anything? We went through the cost benefit analysis. A new one was with some adjustments after our meeting on Tuesday. There were some adjustments to it that changed the ratio, not a huge amount, but it did lower it a little bit based on some things that were brought up during that meeting. I don't know if there's anything else that we have.
No, the only thing that's different from the last time this group discussed it was the updated cost benefit analysis, which I got yesterday, sent out last night, so I
I looked at it,
You know,
briefly this morning, but
not a ton of time to digest that, so that's certainly a board decision if that's something to get together again about, or depending on our advisement from our council here, if there's executive session material, I don't know. But
Yeah.
there has been an update to the CBA, and that's the only change since we talked last.
Stephen, I think we're gonna go into an executive session and there's an item that we wanted to discuss about the Lakeview pilot. But I'm not sure, I'm not clear that if it qualifies for an executive session. So once we kind of introduce the topic, when we get there, there's a few other things we have in the executive session anyway. I'm gonna rely on you to say, yeah, you gotta go back to the public meeting, or no, that qualify for executive session. It's kind of sometimes a funny line there that I want to make sure we cross appropriately. All right?
Yep.
All right, that's fine. So if there's no other discussion, and we may come back out of the executive session to discuss something, but it has to do with the financials, some of the financial questions we have. Okay, we have from Massa Construction, or Massa Properties, I guess, who's doing the DeSales apartment project. over on Pulteney. We have an application from them that we've received. Our next step there, it's Stephen, maybe you could talk to that because you've been working with their attorneys, correct?
Yep. Yeah. So really what would all be on up for consideration today is essentially kind of like we do with every other project that comes in at the outset. Given that the proposed additional financial assistance is likely going to exceed $100,000, we're going to have to do another public hearing. So all that's really up for consideration today is for the board to essentially accept the supplemental application and materials, describing the forms of additional financial assistance, which here they're requesting a pilot. And then the last one would just be authorizing staff and council to schedule and conduct a public hearing.
Okay. And we don't have it's okay for them to do a presentation at the public hearing?
Yeah, if you want to.
I mean, we heard a presentation a year and a half ago about the property, but we do have, Andy Timon came in and went through it. We do have, some new members that might benefit from that. I mean, essentially it is the same project. Nothing has changed other than, Nick sent a letter saying that the Restore New York grant or New York Restore grant funding, that they originally asked for 2.8 million, came down to 1 million. So he's a little short on the financing. He says he has increased bank financing, loan costs, increased loan rates, increased construction costs, same old thing. And then I think when I talked to him, his big thing was the uncertainty about the new assessments, with the citywide reevaluation and how that's going to affect the viability of the project. So he is saying that he needs this extended, abatement to go into the property here. And we do have, and this was sent out, I think this is but we have the application, right, someplace? I couldn't find it myself.
I think this is all that
This is all we did.
sent. They had I think for the sales tax
Correct.
application, they did that, and then they just added this kind of as a
Okay, it's an adjunct. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. And you, Stephen, you worked out the fee schedule. You're satisfied with how they, and they understand it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or whatever. Okay, it makes sense what you wrote here, or what I see they have the 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and for what it's worth, my suggestion would be any presentation, I guess, that they would plan on giving. I would have them do it at the meeting in which you all would be considering giving final approval. The public hearing, I would rather just keep it to the actual incentives itself. And that's mainly just to try to keep it, again, away from, a Q&A session. I'd rather have them do it at just a public meeting versus the actual hearing.
Okay, all right, so let's do that. If we can send out a time for the public hearing, it kind of depends when the space, I assume we'll do it next door.
Yep.
We should, so we can report back to Nick that that's in the works. And then, yeah, when it comes up for the vote, the next meeting, then we can ask Andy to kind of refresh our memory.
Yeah.
I think that sounds good.
We want a CBA on this.
What's that?
CBA, do we need one?
Yes, we need to do a
I'll-
cost benefit.
I'll
We'll
reach
do a
out.
cost benefit on that,
I'll reach out to them on that.
yeah, okay.
Just one very brief thing, and I think we may have covered this. So like our standard application that say like Lakeview, for instance, filled out, did Massa already do that?
I think that's what they're saying. They
Okay.
did it for they asked for just sales tax.
They did it for that, yeah, and then just provided this as a supplemental.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Can you send that out again? Can you
yes.
Find that, and so that for the benefit of Josh and anyone else who can't find it, myself. I've got a stack of paper about this high. It's in there, I'm sure. But
Yeah, we'll get it out to you.
All right. Okay. Agenda. Okay, ongoing projects, do you or Amy have anything that we have?
I mean, these are pretty much all of them. And then obviously we were talking before about the GEDC, making sure we don't lose sight of that, but, as far as,
Well, there's some that we will discuss in the executive
Yeah.
session. It's a couple, we have a few items there, so.
yeah, I think everything mainly that's ongoing was on this agenda for this meeting already, so.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anything else that we want to introduce as the topics? All right, so without further ado, we're going to go into an executive session. I'd like a motion to enter the executive session to discuss sale or lease of real property held by the IDA. Josh and RJ. All right,
Bear with me while I figure out if I can get off.
and we may be coming back out of the executive session once we get
Right.
the attorney to give us a.
I'm gonna end this and then restart the Zoom, guys. You're just gonna, I think, have to hop back on.